Okay, today we're going to be talking about ionic bonding. Now, before you understand what ionic bonding is, you need to have a clean understanding of electron configuration. Now, it's very important that you know this because it's the basics of chemistry and the fundamentals of chemistry that you need to know. Now, the first thing is, what is electron configuration? Is the way you draw the elements. Now, there are a few rules that you need to remember. In the first shell you can only have 2 electrons, in the second you can have 8, and in the third you can have 8 as well. Could you now draw, and pause the video, can you draw chlorine, oxygen and sodium? Follow them rules. So remember, if you're trying to draw 8, so you can only have 2 in the first and then 6 in the outer, okay? So it's extremely important that you follow the rules and regulations set. Here are the answers. So oxygen has 2 in the inner and 6 on the outer. Chlorine has 2, 8, 7, making 17. And sodium has 2, 8 in the second and 1 in the third, making 11. Do you understand? You must follow these basic rules. So in the first 2, in the second 8, and in the third 8. Now, this is a question that typically could come in your exam, but we'll look at this later when we look at covalent bonding. It just shows you how important this topic is. Now, it's also very important to understand that elements love to have a full outer shell. It's kind of like me. I don't like life on my own. When I'm on my own, I'm kind of lonely and not happy. I'm happy when I've got all my family with me, and that's how neon is the noble gas, because it's got a full outer shell. It's got 8 in its outer shell, which means it's full. It's like, look at me, I'm the best. Kind of like when I'm with my family, I'm nice and happy and I'm not reactive. I don't really care what's going on. I'm really happy. So as you can see, I've got 8 members of my family with me and I am very happy. Now, ionic bonding is all about, ionic bonding occurs when electrons from a metal are transferred to a non-metal in order to have a full outer shell. It's very important that these elements are trying to have a full outer shell. We are going to go over a few examples as well right now, and maybe you could do an exam question as well by the end of this lesson. Sodium and chlorine. Sodium has 1 electron in its outer shell, henceforth why it's an alkali metal and it's in group 1, because it has 1 electron in its outer shell. Chlorine has 7, so sodium wants to lose 1 in order to have a full outer shell, and chlorine needs to gain 1 in order to have a full outer shell. So sodium will transfer its 1 electron to chlorine. So sodium will give 1 electron to chlorine, and now chlorine will have a full outer shell. Okay, because it's gone from 7 to 8. Now it's important to understand that sodium will become positively charged because it's lost a negative electron. However, chlorine will become negatively charged because it's gained an extra negative electron. It's extremely important that you understand this concept. This is ionic bonding, and sodium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal, and when they combine, when they come together, they make sodium chloride, and sodium chloride is well known as table salt. Chips do not taste the same without salt. Curry doesn't taste the same without salt. Pretty much everything doesn't taste the same without salt. So I've also written down my answer here if you didn't understand what I was talking about in ionic bonding, that sodium will share 1 of its electrons with chlorine, and then chlorine will have a full outer shell. Okay, it's extremely important that you understand this concept of ionic bonding. It could come in your exam. Your teacher might set you some questions, etc. You just got to be on the ball when it comes to ionic bonding. You really do. Now, this is an exam question. You can have a go. Pause the video. Sodium fluoride is an ionic compound. Describe how a sodium atom and a fluorine atom interact to form sodium ion Na and fluoride ion F. Could you write down the answer? So think about it. As you already know, fluorine's a non-metal and sodium's a metal. So think about the answer. Here we go. 1 electron is transferred. Think about it, and that is transferred from sodium to fluorine, because remember, sodium wants to lose an electron in order to have a full outer shell, whilst fluorine needs to gain 1. Thank you.